I woke up to my family crowding around me, calling my name. Through a broken roof, I saw their worried faces, my parents, my brothers, and my little sister shaking me with all her might. That's when I realized I wasn't who I used to be. In my past life, I was a university graduate who got betrayed by the woman I loved. She poisoned me, and I pulled her down with me from a building. I thought that was the end. But I woke up here, as Su Changsho, a 6-year-old boy who's been sick with a breathing illness since birth. My father, Su Kaishi, looked tired and worn. My mother, Zhang Xiui, held my hand tight. I had 2 older brothers, Dague and Yutian, and a little sister, Xiaomei. For the first time in any life, I felt real family warmth. I'd been an orphan before. This was new, but we were desperately poor. Nobody had clothes without patches. My second brother's pants had a rip so big you could see his thigh. I told them I was hungry. My mother brought me a bowl of thin millet porridge with wild vegetables. It smelled awful like boiled grass. But my brother and sister stood there swallowing hard, just watching me eat, so I forced it down. My grandfather came by with a small bag of rice, maybe 2 or 3 pounds, mixed with bran. He offered to take me to a doctor in town, but I told him I was fine. I knew my family had already spent too much money trying to cure me. That's why my father had separated from his brothers and moved us out here, taking only 5 acres instead of the 10 he deserved. Grandfather left quickly. If my eldest uncle's wife found out he'd brought us rice, there'd be trouble. Lying in bed, I watched my parents and made up my mind. We needed money, food, clothes, everything. Since I'd been given this second life, I would make sure this family lived better. Then a voice rang in my head. Exchange mall successfully bound. A glowing screen appeared in my mind. An exchange mall where I could buy things with silver coins. It had everything. Rice, meat, cloth, even warriors from different ranks. I could buy actual people, fighters with full loyalty. So this world really had warriors. That made me curious about where exactly I'd ended up. But there was one big problem. Everything cost money, and I had none. At dinner, Mother made an extra dish to celebrate my recovery. Plain boiled greens with no oil. My rice was the coarse stuff Grandfather brought, mixed with bran. It didn't taste great, but everyone else only had thin porridge, so I kept quiet and shared some of my rice with my sister and brothers. My parents watched and smiled. I asked Father how much rice cost in town. He said 7 coins a pound because of the bad harvest. Before, it was only 2 or 3. I realized something. The mall sold brown rice for just 2 coins a pound. If I could buy rice from the mall and sell it at market price, I'd make a profit. 3 pounds a day would cost 6 coins and bring in 15 coins of profit. That's over 400 coins a month. But I was a 6-year-old kid with not even a single coin to start. Then I remembered. There was a forest behind our village where mushrooms and wild vegetables grew. If I could gather some and sell them, I'd have my starting money. I asked my parents to let me go up the mountain with my brother. Mother worried I was still too weak, so I told her Scholar Wong said light exercise after illness was good for the body. That did the trick. People here trust scholars more than anything. One word from Scholar Wong meant more than 100 for me. They agreed. I nodded like a good little boy. But what I was really planning, only I knew. Our family of 6 shared 3 small rooms. I slept with my second brother and little sister in one room. Watching them sleep, I promised myself I'd earn enough money for us to live better. I even dreamed about it, digging vegetables, selling rice, turning our mud houses into a grand courtyard with a warrior standing guard behind me. The next morning I woke up late. Everyone else was already working. Xiaomei helping Mother pick vegetables, my brothers chopping wood, Father hauling water with sweat dripping down his face. I felt embarrassed being the only lazy one. After eating the rice Mother saved for me, my second brother Yutian and I headed for the mountain. He warned me there was nothing left. The villagers had picked everything clean. I told him I just wanted to stretch my legs after being in bed so long. On the way, we ran into our cousins. Lai Shun, from our eldest uncle's family, made a comment about how my illness had dragged the whole family down. Yutian snapped back that I was better now and kept walking. Behind us, I heard Lai Shun grumbling that if it weren't for me, the family wouldn't be so poor. He even said cousin Lai Shi could have been studying if the money hadn't gone to my treatments. Lai Shun was the only one in the family who got to study, thanks to his mother paying for lessons with Scholar Wong. That made him someone nobody dared to cross. Yutian and I walked further than most villagers bothered to go. He warned me about wolves if we went too far, so we searched the area carefully. We got lucky. Mushrooms, ferns, about 2 pounds of wild vegetables filled our basket halfway. Yution was excited, saying we'd saved a whole person's share of grain. That's when I made my move. I told him people in town would pay good money for wild mountain food, more than grain was worth. I said Scholar Wang had mentioned it. Yution wanted to run home and tell father, but I talked him out of it. Father and mother were busy with farm work. Going to town would cost them half a day. And think about it, I said. Would they be happier if we brought home these vegetables or a big bag of rice? He looked at me curiously. So what do? We sell them ourselves. Yution agreed to my plan right away and patted my head, calling me smart. He was still a kid. It wasn't hard to convince him. We walked an hour to Huagang town. My legs were shaking by the time we arrived. It was my first time in town, and everything fascinated me. Sugar figures, pancakes, all kinds of goods. Yution had been here twice before, so he played tour guide. We found a spot near other vegetable sellers and put our basket on the ground. Nobody stopped at first, so I told Yution he needed to shout like the other vendors. He called out, and soon an old woman came over. When she asked the price, my honest brother told her to name one herself. I rolled my eyes and sighed. He was practically inviting her to cheat us. She offered 15 coins for the whole basket. Before we could answer, a voice cut in. I'll pay 25 coins. I looked up and saw a girl, maybe 16 or 17, tall and pretty with smooth skin and bright eyes. Her name was Lu Luoling. She scolded the old woman for trying to trick children, then dropped 25 coins right into my hand. Not Yotian's. She said my face was more pleasant to look at. Poor Yution stood there looking gloomy. Luoling asked where we found the vegetables and told us if we ever had more, we should come to Swallow Alley. The biggest house there was hers. She seemed to like me, saying I was quite handsome up close. I smiled my sweetest smile and introduced us both. After she left, Yution counted the coins excitedly. 25 coins could buy 3 pounds of rice with 4 coins left over. I told him I was hungry and asked if we could spend 4 coins on 2 buns. I needed him to walk away so I could secretly keep some money back. He frowned. 2 coins per bun was expensive, but I begged a little, and he gave in. I sent Yution off to buy buns and finally had a moment alone. I focused my mind, spent 6 coins in the mall, and 3 pounds of brown rice appeared in the storage space. The mall even let me keep items inside until I needed them, like a small backpack. I took the rice out and looked for a buyer. That same old woman from before was heading to a grain shop nearby. Perfect, someone who loved a bargain. I ran up to her with my most innocent face and offered 3 pounds of brown rice at 6 coins per pound, 1 coin cheaper than market price. When she asked where a kid got grain, I made up a story about my aunt being sick and our grandfather telling me to sell rice cheaply as a good deed for blessings. She believed it, but then tried to talk me down to 3 coins. I looked at her like she was being silly and told her I wasn't a fool. She caved and paid 18 coins. Now I had 33 coins. I bought 3 pounds of Northeast rice from the mall for 15 coins, much better quality than what we could normally afford, and had 18 coins left over. Yution found me and saw the rice. His eyes went wide. It was too clean and good for what our money should have bought. I told him the grain shop owner had run off with his wife's sister, so they were selling everything cheap. He believed me completely and got excited, saying the rice was worth at least 13 coins a pound. We hurried home before dark. Father scolded us for being late, but Mother said the fresh air was good for me. When Yution proudly showed off the rice, the whole family gathered around, shocked. He told them everything. The wild vegetables, the 25 coins, the big sale at the grain shop. Everyone looked suspicious. 2 pounds of vegetables for 25 coins? A shop having a clearance sale because the owner eloped? I stood there looking innocent. That night, I knew my parents whispered about it. They weren't as easy to fool as Yution, but I wasn't worried. Strange things would keep happening around me, and I figured it was better to let my family get used to it slowly. One day, I might surprise them with something even bigger. That evening, I insisted the whole family eat proper steamed rice and rice soup. Since Yution and I had earned the rice, nobody argued. I also split the 2 buns into small pieces so everyone could have a taste. It was a warm meal, and I loved every moment of it. Then I asked about my sister-in-law, Zheng Chunni. I hadn't seen her since I woke up. My big brother looked uncomfortable, so father explained. When my illness drained the family's money and food ran out, Her parents couldn't bear watching her suffer with us and took her home. It was because of me again. I clenched my fists inside and swore to make enough money so we'd never worry again. I told everyone we should bring sister-in-law back. Big Brother's eyes lit up, but Father worried the Zheng family wouldn't agree. I said as long as we had money and food, they wouldn't stop her. Father admitted that was true. Her parents just loved her too much to let her starve with us. Then let's go make money, I said. Everyone stared at me like I was crazy. But I had a plan. I asked if anyone had ever seen a transparent egg, golden and see-through. Father thought I was talking nonsense and checked if I was feeling sick. I told them I'd overheard someone in town describing a method from the South for making special eggs. In my previous life, I knew the recipe for preserved eggs. I checked. Nobody in this world made them yet. I had other ideas too, poems, soap, but those were too flashy. In a place where powerful people could just take what they wanted, something too impressive would bring trouble. Preserved eggs were safer. Just a cheap snack. Even if someone stole the recipe, we wouldn't lose much. When Mother said it was useless talk without knowing the recipe, I told them I knew it. Everyone froze. A 6-year-old with a secret recipe? I said I'd overheard the ingredients from people chatting in town. 100 eggs, 3 pounds of quicklime, some salt, cypress branches, rice husks, and plant ash. Once they heard the details, they started to believe me. Father decided we'd test it with 10 eggs first, only 20 coins. We couldn't risk our last 100 coins on grain, but we couldn't pass up a chance to earn real money either. Meanwhile, in a fine house in Swallow Alley, Lu Luoling, the pretty girl who'd bought our vegetables, was serving them to her father. He praised the wild greens, saying he'd sent servants to search half the county without finding any. She told him she'd bought them from a 6-year-old boy in Shaoyan village. The next morning, Father carried me halfway to town, which made the trip much faster. We bought 10 eggs for 20 coins. On the way, I secretly bought another 3 pounds of rice from the mall. In town, I told Father I needed the bathroom and slipped into an alley to find that old woman again. Same story. My aunt was sick. Grandpa wanted me to sell rice cheaply as a good deed. She bought 3 pounds for 18 coins, half teasing me the whole time. I ran back to Father with 30 coins in my pocket. At home, everything was ready. Pine branches, plant ash, quicklime. We closed the doors tight, and little Xiaomei stood guard in the yard. A money-making recipe had to stay secret. Following my instructions from my past life, the family boiled quicklime with plant ash and salt water, let it cool, mixed it with wheat bran and rice husks, coated the eggs, and sealed them in a jar. Father placed it in a cool corner and stacked stones around it like it was treasure. And it was. That jar carried all our hopes. I told them 7 days. Big Brother got excited, saying we could finally bring sister-in-law home. That night, I snuck into the kitchen. I bought a pound of fine rice from the mall and poured it into the family jar, then mixed in the good rice from the day before with the coarse rice so nobody would notice. Mother found it the next morning and figured out what I'd done. She told my brothers at breakfast that their little brother had shared his good rice with everyone. They promised to always treat me well. I felt the warmth, but also the pressure. I had to make this family's life better. Over the next 7 days, I bought 11 more pounds of coarse rice from the mall, spending almost everything until I had only 3 coins left. I kept sneaking rice into the kitchen jar. Mother noticed it seemed to last longer than usual, but just blamed her memory. Then the day came. We closed the gate, sent Xiaomei outside, and the 5 of us gathered around the jar. Should we open it? Open it. Maybe wait 2 more days? Open it now. Father's hands were sweating. He took a breath and lifted the lid. No golden light, no magic, just a faint strange smell when Father opened the jar. He peeled one egg carefully, and there it was, a pale yellow, translucent preserved egg, exactly like I remembered from my past life. We did it. We cut one into 6 pieces so everyone could taste it. The reactions were mixed, strange but not bad, delicious, gone before I could taste it, but we all agreed people would buy it. I suggested calling it amber egg instead of preserved egg. It sounded more elegant, and rich people would like the name better. Everyone agreed. For the price, I said 5 coins. Making one cost about 3 coins, so we'd earn a small profit on each. Not so expensive that common people couldn't try one, but cheap enough that wealthy folks could eat them daily. And the profit was low enough that nobody would get jealous and cause us trouble. Father approved. He wrapped the 9 remaining eggs carefully in straw, and the 3 of us, father, big brother, and I, headed to town. Big brother shouted to attract customers while father showed off a peeled egg. People crowded around, amazed at how clear and shiny it looked. Some complained 5 coins was too much when regular eggs cost 2. I jumped in, saying father had even gotten hurt making them. Technically true. He cut his hand slicing one to share. It worked. A few people bought some. In an hour we sold 5, but most people just looked. Times were hard, and people were careful with money. I grabbed the basket with the remaining eggs and told father I was going to find that girl from before. Before he could stop me, I ran off to Swallow Alley. A maid named Xiaotsue opened the door. I told her I was the vegetable boy from Shaoyan village. She shouted for her mistress so loudly it startled me. Lu Luoling came rushing out in a silver embroidered dress, slowing down at the door to look proper. When she saw it was really me, she asked to pinch my cheeks. No one else was around, so she dropped her ladylike act. I leaned forward and let her. A customer is like a god, after all. Once she was done fussing over me, I showed her the amber eggs. Does this count as using my charm to sell eggs? I wondered. She took a peeled one and studied it curiously. Lu Luoling didn't even ask the price. She popped the amber egg in her mouth and said she'd take them all. Bits of egg flew out while she talked. I tried not to stare. She paid 20 coins for 4 eggs, then ordered 20 more. I asked for a 50-coin deposit right away. She called me a little money lover and pinched my cheeks again. Since I'd just earned 50 coins, I didn't mind. After leaving her place, I bought 20 eggs from the mall at 1 coin each and 3 more pounds of rice, then sold 11 pounds of brown rice to the old woman for 66 coins. My total came to 133 coins. I ran back to father and big brother, handed over 20 coins for the 4 eggs I'd sold, and showed them the 20 eggs Luoling had given us for the next order. Big brother was thrilled. 60 more coins coming soon, and the sooner we earned, the sooner his wife could come home. We bought more eggs and salt, then headed home. That night, we held a family meeting. Father said the business could work. I told everyone we needed to target wealthier customers. Ordinary people couldn't really afford 5 coins for an egg. I suggested selling to restaurants. Big brother loved the idea. Father agreed. We'd finish this batch and visit restaurants one by one. We turned all our eggs into amber eggs that night and waited 7 days. Meanwhile, our rice jar mysteriously never seemed to empty. The family got used to eating full meals every day without questioning it. When the amber eggs were ready, father, big brother, and I went to town again. I insisted on delivering Luoling's order alone. I told father it wasn't proper for men to visit a young lady. Really, I just needed to keep my secrets safe. Luoling told me her father had loved the amber eggs and porridge and wanted to share them with his colleagues. She placed a standing order, 20 eggs every 10 days. That was a steady income one could count on. She pinched my cheeks one more time before I left. I collected 100 coins total from the Lu family. Then I brought 10 pounds of brown rice to the old woman. This time she said she couldn't eat it all herself and offered to resell it at 5 coins a pound. Fine by me. I didn't care about the small rice profit anymore now that the amber egg business was running. I went back and brought her another 10 pounds. She didn't ask questions, just smiled and took it. After all the buying and selling, I had 142 coins left. I bought 20 more eggs from the mall and told father that Luoling had sold us 60 eggs cheaply, 1.5 coins each instead of the usual 2. I felt guilty lying about her, but I needed to explain where all these eggs came from. Father said since Luoling was so generous, we'd only charge her cost price for amber eggs from now on. Farmers have their pride. So without knowing it, Lu Luoling became our official egg supplier, at least in my family's eyes. We visited the Drunken Immortal restaurant first. The chef made 2 dishes with our amber eggs, and the manager ordered 10 a day. Then we went to the Delight restaurant. When I mentioned their rival had already signed up, they ordered 10 a day too. A couple of small taverns followed. We sold 47 eggs total and earned over 90 coins profit. Back home, we poured nearly 200 coins on the table. The whole family stared. Big brother tried to calculate our monthly earnings and got stuck. So I helped. 1,800 coins from restaurants alone. With extras, about 2,000 coins a month. 2 taels of silver. Mother wiped tears from her eyes. Between the mall's cheap eggs and rice, I was also making about 570 coins a month on the side. Things were finally moving. The next day, I took Yution to town. Father gave us 20 coins for pork, but I secretly bought a pound from the mall for only 10. That night we had scrambled eggs and boiled pork belly. The kids couldn't stop staring at the food. Mother's eyes glistened again. She scooped some into a bowl and sent Yution to bring it to our grandparents. Even when things got better, we couldn't forget the elders. At the old family house, grandfather was surprised to see meat and eggs. He tried to send it back, saying I needed it more after my illness. But Yution said there was plenty at home, waved goodbye, and ran back. He had pork belly waiting. After he left, the aunts gathered around the bowl, whispering. Eldest uncle's wife, Mrs. Wang, couldn't believe it. Just days ago, her son Lai Shun had seen us picking wild vegetables on the mountain. Now we had meat. Her eyes were already darting around, scheming to find out what happened. She was the one who'd pushed to split the family so my illness wouldn't drag them down. If we were suddenly doing better than her, she'd never let it go. Half the pork belly had gone to our grandparents, and only a few small pieces were left. Nobody dared touch them. Father and mother wouldn't eat. Big brother held back for us younger ones. Yution and Xiaomei just stared, mouths watering. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up, picked up pieces with my chopsticks, and put one in everyone's bowl before taking my own. Father backed me up. We'd have plenty of chances for meat now. Only then did Yution and Xiaomei dig in. It's so delicious, Yution said, looking like he'd found heaven. I chewed my piece slowly too. First meat since arriving in this world. I almost cried. Father called me the family's lucky star. Big brother said he'd protect me. Yution and Xiaomei chimed in too. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then I brought up my next idea, raising chickens. The mall only let me buy 20 eggs a day, and outside eggs cost 2 coins each. Our own chickens would be cheaper, plus my family would have eggs to eat. Yution and Xiaomei both looked a bit thin. Knowing my parents, they'd never spend money on eggs daily, but if the chickens were ours, they wouldn't feel guilty about it. Father worried about feed. 10 chickens would eat 60 pounds of grain a month. I told him we could let the chickens find food on the mountain, and said Sister Lu raised hers that way. Once I mentioned her name, Father agreed immediately. I was put in charge of the chickens. The next day, Father, Yution, and I went to town to buy them. We found an egg shop owner who had a batch of hens that would start laying in a month. He wanted 30 coins each. Father bargained him down to 25. We bought 10. I also had another reason for wanting our own chickens. I couldn't keep selling cheap rice in town forever. A 6-year-old kid bringing in rice regularly would eventually attract attention. I planned to slowly stop my deliveries to the old woman and stay quiet until I had the power to protect myself. No big risks. Not yet. We spent 250 coins on 10 hens, nearly all our savings. Big brother had already built a chicken coop in the yard with tree branches and straw. Xiaomei clapped her hands, excited about having eggs. Father put me in charge of the chickens. The next morning, I led all 10 hens up the back mountain with a bamboo stick. The whole village noticed immediately. Aunt Zhang stopped me to ask whose chickens they were. I said they were mine and kept walking. By noon, everyone in the village was talking about it. The truth was, there wasn't enough food left on the mountain for the chickens. I told Father they could find food up there, but really I was buying cheap rice from the mall at 2 coins a pound and scattering it for them. 2 pounds a day, only 4 coins. Once they started laying, they'd produce about 300 eggs a month. Much better profit than reselling rice through the old woman. The chickens learned fast. They knew I was the one with the food, so they followed me without fussing. On the way home, Mrs. Wang was waiting for me under the big banyan tree. She'd heard the village gossip and wanted to know where we got 10 chickens. I told her a girl in town thought I was good-looking and gave them to me. She didn't buy it for a second, but I kept walking, swinging my bamboo stick loudly. She didn't dare get close. One accidental whack would leave a mark. She spat on the ground and yelled that when her family produced a big official, I'd come begging. At dinner, the family was back to simple meals since we'd spent most of our money on chickens. Nobody complained. Life was getting better, and everyone could feel it. Then Yution said something that made me nervous. Dad, the rice is getting tastier. Big brother agreed. Father glanced at me and said it was because life was improving, so everything tasted better. I lowered my head and ate quietly. The real reason was obvious. I'd been sneaking northeast rice into the jar so often that there was barely any brown rice left. At this rate, the whole jar would be pure northeast rice soon. Father's glance told me he suspected something. Maybe it was time to tell my parents a little secret. Business was booming. A month in, the Drunken Immortal restaurant told Father that the Liu family wanted 50 amber eggs for a banquet. We were running out of eggs. Rice prices had climbed to 9 coins a pound. I decided to stop selling rice to the old woman. It was getting too suspicious, and I could use the cheap mall rice to feed my chickens instead. Father asked me to buy salt. I took 16 coins and ran off, thrilled because coarse salt was only 1 coin in the mall versus 16 outside. I ducked into a quiet alley, made the exchange, and turned around smiling. Then I froze. Father was standing right there, arms crossed, staring at me. He'd followed me. He'd seen the salt appear out of thin air in my hand. "Tell me what's going on," he said. My heart sank. I'd been planning to tell my parents eventually, but not like this. That honest-looking face of his hid a surprisingly sharp mind. We walked home in silence. Father sent the other kids away with excuses, closed the bedroom door, and sat down with Mother across from me. I told them that when I fainted, I met an old immortal, white beard, divine aura. He cured my illness and gave me a special ability. I could trade money for goods through him, like a merchant. Mother immediately wanted to burn incense to thank the immortal. I quickly stopped her. This immortal doesn't eat incense. He prefers money. They looked confused. An immortal who likes money? Father looked doubtful, so I said I'd prove it. He handed me 2 coins. I placed them in my left hand, and right before their eyes, the coins vanished and a bag of rice appeared in my right hand. See? 2 coins for a pound of coarse rice. Father opened the bag, saw the rice, and his jaw dropped. There really are immortals. My parents stayed quiet for a long time, staring at the rice that had appeared from nothing. Then the questions came. "So the white rice, the rice in our jar, that was all you?" I confessed everything. The 20 daily eggs weren't from Sister Lou. They were from the mall, at 1 coin each. The rice shop story was made up. Mother dug up every lie I'd told and scolded me. I blamed Scholar Wong's storybooks for putting ideas in my head, and she warned me not to follow his bad example. I shrank back like a quail. Father asked why I didn't buy more. I explained the daily limits. The immortal only sold fixed amounts. Mother sighed and said the immortal's family must not keep many chickens. I didn't know what to say to that. Then Father got serious. This was our biggest secret. If anyone found out, I'd be in danger. They both agreed. Not a word to anyone. Father decided all the family's money would be kept with me from now on. The mall storage space could hold coins too, so at least we'd never worry about theft. I asked when they first suspected me. Father patted my head. "It was the time you brought home 3 pounds of rice. Did you really think we're fools?" He even joked about making Yution faint next, hoping he'd meet an immortal too. I silently mourned for my second brother. That evening, Mother went wild in the kitchen. I exchanged vegetables and pork from the mall, and she cooked a real feast. 5-spice pork, scrambled eggs, stir-fried greens, amber eggs, and white rice for everyone. My siblings' eyes went huge. Then the village official, Uncle Lou, showed up. He froze when he saw our table: meat, eggs, white rice. He swallowed hard, but politely refused to join us. He'd come with bad news. The county was drafting men to repair city walls. Barbarians from the north had broken through 3 cities. Every household had to send 1 adult man. Since our family had split from the main house, we counted as a separate household, so Father had to go. He'd leave next month and hopefully return before the summer harvest. The mood dropped, but Father smiled and said he'd done it before. Then he turned to Big Brother with something that made everyone look up. "Before I leave, let's bring Chun and I home." Big Brother's eyes lit up like stars. Father decided it was time to bring sister-in-law home. He prepared generous gifts: 10 pounds of rice, salt, pork, and eggs, all bought cheaply through my mall. It cost us 51 coins, but was worth 166 at market price. We arrived at the Zheng family in Dafu village and walked into a nightmare. Chunny was inside arguing with her parents through tears. They hadn't taken her back because they worried about her. They wanted to sell her again. Some crippled man named Zhao she had paid a bride price, and her brother Zheng Irma wanted that money to find his own wife. Chunny was sobbing, saying she'd rather die than remarry. Then she heard Big Brother's voice outside and came running. Her father, old Zheng, sneered at us. He said Chunny would never have a good life with a family that couldn't even feed a sick child. He demanded 100 coins. Chunny cried out that she was willing to eat plain food with the Sioux family. She was brave, saying once married into the Sioux family, she was a Sioux wife. Father got angry, which was rare. 100 coins? Our Sioux family can afford it, he declared. Big Brother wanted to report them to the officials, but Father whispered that officials only came to collect money. Unless someone died, they wouldn't bother. Going to court would just humiliate Chunny. Villagers gathered to watch and jeered at old Zheng for selling his daughter twice. He turned red but held firm, doubting we could actually produce 100 coins. Father told Big Brother to stay and guard Chunny. Don't let anyone take her. Big Brother sat down on a stone at their gate like a wall. Father and I headed home to get the money. On the way, he asked how much we had. I checked the mall storage, about 1,400 coins. A month of amber egg sales and rice trading, minus daily expenses. More than enough. Father figured out we shouldn't give old Zheng cash. We could buy goods from the mall for much less and give him more value. I calculated everything. 35 pounds of coarse rice from storage, a bolt of hemp cloth for 130 coins from the mall that was worth nearly 600 on the market. In total, we spent only 251 coins, but gave him over 1,000 coins worth of goods. We rested for an hour, then pushed the cart back to Dafu village. Big Brother was sitting at the gate right where we left him. Father shouted so everyone could hear. He wanted witnesses. More than a dozen villagers gathered, whispering about old Zheng selling his daughter twice. Old Zheng checked the goods carefully. 45 pounds of rice, salt, pork, eggs, and a bolt of cloth. He was pleased. Grain was worth more than coins these days. Then sister-in-law surprised everyone. She demanded a formal separation letter, cutting ties with the Zheng family forever. She said the first time she was married, this time she was sold. She wanted nothing more to do with them. Father was delighted with her. They called the village head, wrote it up, signed, and stamped it. Done. As we left, sister-in-law told her family not to come looking for her again. Her mother was too busy touching the cloth to care. Her brother was counting the rice. Sister-in-law looked at them one last time and turned away. She hugged me tight. Changsho, let's go home. I felt overwhelmed. She squeezed hard. Big Brother was like a new person. He made sister-in-law and me sit on the cart while he pushed us home, practically running. On the way, sister-in-law said she'd weave cloth and take care of me to help pay back what she thought was borrowed money. I told her my illness was cured. She cried with happiness and hugged me even tighter. Father smiled and told her the family had a way to make money now, and we didn't know anyone. She looked confused. Big Brother just said mysteriously, "You'll find out when we get home." When we arrived, Mother and Yutan were watering the garden. Everyone was happy to see sister-in-law back. She walked inside and froze. Braised pork, scrambled eggs, white rice on the table. "Am I dreaming?" she whispered. In 2 years of marriage, she'd never eaten meat with us. She couldn't believe this was the same Sioux family. We told sister-in-law about the amber egg business that night and even let her help make a batch. She was so touched by the trust that she swore to protect the recipe with her life. I told her not to be silly. If anyone ever threatened her, just give it up. It's only a recipe. Then it was time to prepare for Father's departure to the labor service. Mother and sister-in-law packed dry food, large salted pancakes made with flour from the mall, for kinds of pickled vegetables, and smoked meat slices hidden in the bottom of his bag so nobody would see. I exchanged 2 pounds of fine salt, one for Father's provisions and one for the kitchen. He said the salt was important. Building walls makes you sweat, and without enough salt, your body gives out. Father reminded Big Brother to listen to me on everything while he was gone. Big Brother looked hurt. "Father, I'm the older brother." One look from Father shut him up like a quail. Before leaving, Mother whispered to Father about the hidden smoked meat. He grumbled about it, but patted his bag and hurried out with a smile. 37 men from our village gathered at the entrance. A soldier counted them and led the group toward the county town. On the way, Uncle Kai-Hai, Father's eldest brother, made a snide comment about our family only having 5 acres. Father fired back, asking why Scholar Wong hadn't used his exemption to spare Uncle Kai-Hai from the draft, since the Wong family had no use for it themselves. That shut Uncle Kai-Hai up completely. Father started humming a little tune he'd picked up from me. Uncle Kai-Hai walked faster to get away from him. When they reached the county town, The old city walls looked worn down. That was their job, repair them. People from several villages had gathered. Father spotted old Zheng from Dafu village in the crowd, chatting and smiling with officials. Father turned away in disgust. While Father was away at the labor camp, here's what happened to him, as he later told us. He ran into Uncle Zhang Lu, Mother's younger brother, at the gathering. They were happy to see each other and agreed to stick together. Uncle Zhang Lu was honest and kind. When our family was struggling, he'd even brought us a wild chicken. The county magistrate, Lu Qingmu, gave a speech about why they were building walls. Barbarians from the north had destroyed 3 cities and killed everyone inside. The work wasn't for the court, it was to protect their own families. Father and Uncle Zhang Lu picked a good shelter, the third from the north, with sunlight and dry ground. But Father grimaced when he saw who else had chosen it. Uncle Kai-hai and old Zheng. No escaping annoying people, it seemed. Uncle Kai-hai eavesdropped on Father talking to Zhang Lu and looked disappointed to hear my illness was cured. They started hauling stones right away, even with only an hour of daylight left. Every load was recorded by a clerk to make sure nobody slacked off. Lazy workers meant higher taxes for their whole village the next year. The clerk turned out to be Scholar Wang, Uncle Kai-hai's brother-in-law. He'd come hoping to impress the county magistrate and advance his career. When Uncle Kai-hai saw him, he got excited and asked for an easier job. Scholar Wang refused flatly and told him not to call him brother-in-law at the work site. Just clerk. He didn't want gossip. Father kept his head down and said nothing. Uncle Kai-hai's face must have been something to see. Father told us everything when he came back. At the camp, Uncle Kai-hai got half a bowl of rice with a thin layer of vegetables from Scholar Wang and strutted around bragging about it. He mocked Father for eating pickled vegetables with poor relatives. Then Father opened his luggage. Big pancakes with salt baked in. Pickled lettuce, water bamboo, cucumber, dried radish. 2 salted eggs. 2 pieces of dried meat. He laid it all out in front of Uncle Zhang Lu, and they ate together. Zhang Lu's eyes went wide. Brother-in-law, so many good things. He made sure to say it loudly. Uncle Kai-hai's face fell. Even the meat he was chewing didn't taste as good anymore. Old Zheng tried to slide over, smiling and begging for a share. Father didn't even look up, just put his dried meat into Zhang Lu's bowl and said, "Eat more so you can grow taller." Zhang Lu pulled his food between his legs, blocking old Zheng completely. Old Zheng looked at the 23-year-old who was a full head taller than him and slunk back to his spot. Over the following days, Father kept pulling out good food from his luggage. Eggs, dried meat, always something. Uncle Kai-hai and old Zheng were going crazy trying to figure out where it all came from. They didn't dare search his bag. That was a serious offense during labor service. Father refused to explain anything. He could have told them about the amber egg business without revealing the recipe, but he enjoyed watching them squirm too much. On the 5th day, the guards announced the county magistrate was coming to inspect. Everyone had to be on their best behavior. Meanwhile, Scholar Wang was bowing to an older official named Wang Yu, the chief clerk of Meihua County. Turns out Scholar Wang had dug up some old family records, found a distant connection to this man, and visited him many times until the clerk accepted him as a nephew. That's how Scholar Wang got his cushy clerk position at the site. Now Wang Yu promised to find a chance for Scholar Wang to impress the magistrate during the inspection. A few days later, Big Brother and I went to the county to deliver food to Father. I stopped at Luoling's house first to drop off amber eggs. She overheard I was heading to the county and got excited. Her father lived there too. She decided to come along, bringing Xiaozue. When I introduced Big Brother, he turned red and stammered in front of the 2 girls. Luoling just laughed and grabbed my hand instead. Little Changsho is still the cutest. She rented a mule cart and off we went. At the county walls, the construction site was buzzing. The magistrate, Lu Wen, had come to inspect. He'd received orders from the prefect. Barbarians were advancing faster, and the walls had to be finished in 20 days instead of the original timeline. His officials said it was nearly impossible. The chief clerk, Wang Yu, saw his chance and recommended Scholar Wang, his nephew, to offer solutions. Uncle Kai-hai puffed up with pride, as if Scholar Wang's success would somehow benefit him. Scholar Wang stepped forward and bowed carefully. The magistrate asked if he had ideas. Scholar Wang said he had 3 plans. First, extend working hours by starting half an hour before sunrise and ending half an hour after sunset. Second, increase each worker's load. Carry 6 bricks instead of 5. Third, draft more men from each household to make up for the shorter timeline. He delivered all 3 with complete confidence, not noticing the magistrate's face darkening with every word. Rubbish! The shout came out of nowhere, just as Scholar Wong was waiting for praise. The magistrate exploded at Scholar Wong. His face went red with fury. Every one of Wong's 3 plans meant squeezing more out of the common people. Longer hours, heavier loads, more men drafted. Lu Wen called it all nonsense and said a scholar should understand the people's hardships, not add to them. He told Wong to work on his own virtue first. Scholar Wong bowed with his head down, not daring to look at anyone. The crowd laughed. Uncle Kai-Hai's face turned every color. He wanted to defend his brother-in-law, but couldn't find the words. The magistrate then addressed all the workers directly. He explained the 20-day deadline and promised rewards for clever ideas that wouldn't burden the people further.